Hi, everybody. So this is your homework. It's summaries of chapters March 28th all the way through March 17th. Normally, if we were in person, we wouldn't be doing summaries. We would be reading the actual text. But since we need to finish before December break, this is what we are doing. This video is if you prefer to be read to rather than read by yourself. It's to kind of provide that scaffold to help you out a little more. So let's get started. So our first summary is from March 7th, 1992 and March 28th. We did reach March 7th in class, but I did want to review it because it is important. So Mary Elizabeth goes on another date with Charlie, and again, she talks the whole time. They see a foreign film, then drink brandy, listen to a Billie Holiday record, and make out from the waist up. In the next letter to his friend, a few weeks after that second date, Charlie discusses how much Mary Elizabeth talks. One time, he puts the phone down and walks away, and she doesn't even notice. Charlie's mother asks Charlie to invite Sam and Patrick over, but as soon as he does, Mary Elizabeth barges in and invites herself over for the dinner, too. Mary Elizabeth completely monopolizes the dinner conversation, which makes Charlie very upset, since the night was supposed to just be about Sam and Patrick. Even though his sister and his psychiatrist advised Charlie to be honest, he doesn't tell Mary Elizabeth how upset he is. Okay, next one. April 18th, 1992. Mary Elizabeth gives Charlie a book of E.E. Cumming poems because she likes the book, and she makes Charlie parade his gratitude towards her. Charlie gets so annoyed that he returns the book to the bookstore, but he immediately feels so guilty that he buys the book back. He buys Mary Elizabeth a copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, but she dismisses it patronizingly. So that means she doesn't really care. A few days later, Charlie and his friends play Truth or Dare. Patrick dares Charlie to kiss the prettiest girl in the room, and Charlie kisses Sam. Mary Elizabeth stalks out of the room, and Sam follows, saying to Charlie, "What the F is wrong with you?" Charlie starts to cry. Patrick drives Charlie home, and Charlie tells him everything. When Charlie gets home, he lays on his bed, reads the E. Cumming book, and listens to the Billie Holiday record. So all of Charlie's friends are mad at him right now, except for Patrick. All right, April 26, 1992. None of Charlie's friends are talking to him after the Truth or Dare debacle. He spends his spring break reading Hamlet, the latest book Bill has given him. Charlie tries to apologize to Mary Elizabeth, but she tells him that it's too late. Patrick tells Charlie he should stay away from them for a while. Charlie wants to figure out how to make this all go away, but he can't. Instead, he smokes pot. All right, this is April 29th, 1992. Charlie's been avoiding everything, and he spends his time people watching. For the first time since Michael died, Charlie goes up to Susan and asks her if she misses Michael. Susan doesn't respond, and Charlie overhears another person call him a freak. Aw, poor Charlie, that must feel really bad. All right, May 2nd, 1992. Charlie keeps buying more pot from Bob. He's a part-time community college student who seems to spend most of his time getting stoned and watching the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Charlie then reports to his friend, the person he's writing the letter to, that Brad's father caught Brad and Patrick together. Brad's father started beating Brad in front of Patrick, and Brad hasn't come back to school since. So if you guys remember, Brad and Patrick are secretly seeing each other. And so Brad's father caught them. And so Brad's father started beating Brad. It's really awful. Charlie sneaks into the Rocky Horror Picture Show to see if Patrick will show up to play Frankenfurter. And when he does, Charlie is relieved. Charlie sneaks out before his friends see him, and he regrets messing everything up. On the way home, he talks out loud to his friends as though they're there, even though they're not. Okay, so in May 8th, Brad comes back to school after being missing, right? But he seems cold and dead, and he completely ignores Patrick when Patrick tries to talk to him. Eventually, when Patrick's trying to talk to him, Brad calls Patrick the F word. This is a really nasty word. It's hate speech in front of everybody in the cafeteria. So it's a really offensive word. Nobody should ever call anybody this word. And what's ironic about this is that it's a slang term, or it's a slang hate speech word for gay people. It's very derogatory. And Brad is gay, and he's the one that calls Patrick this word. So Patrick then punches Brad, and 5 of Brad's football friends jump on Patrick. Charlie leaps into the fight in a furious whirlwind and beats up Brad's friends. Patrick and Brad's friends get suspensions, but Brad and Charlie only get detentions. In detention, Brad thanks Charlie for stopping the fight, which is weird because Brad started it, right? So he was just kind of feeling very confused. After detention, Sam picks up Charlie and tells him that she's angry at him for what he did to Mary Elizabeth. But then she thanks him for letting her cool off, and she says that they can be friends again. Mary Elizabeth has a new boyfriend, Peter, a college student. Patrick has stopped playing Frankenfurter in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, which makes Charlie feel really tense. So May 11th. Patrick and Charlie have been hanging out a lot lately. Patrick seems to be surviving on coffee, cigarette, and caffeine pills. Patrick and Charlie go to the golf course, drink wine, and gossip. Patrick kisses Charlie at the end of the night, but Charlie doesn't get mad because he understands that it's just a symptom of Patrick missing Brad. All right, last one. May 17th. Patrick takes Charlie to a park where gay men meet to hook up with each other. Patrick goes off into the bushes to make out with someone, and Charlie recognizes a local sportscaster. In a complete coincidence, the sportscaster talks to Charlie about Charlie's brother. Patrick takes Charlie to several more underground homosexual locations in the city. One night, they go back to the park, and Brad is there, kissing another guy. Patrick drives Charlie home and doesn't try to kiss him. Instead, he just thanks Charlie for being his friend. So that's everything that happens in these chapters. It sounds like things are a mess. Charlie kind of hurts Mary Elizabeth's feelings, and then all the girls in the group get mad at him for doing that because he kisses Sam when he's dared to kiss the prettiest girl in the room. We know that Patrick's and Brad get caught by Brad's father, and then Brad is really trying to hide the fact that he's gay, so he calls Patrick that horrible word in front of everybody, and it kind of destroys their relationship. And we know that Patrick is just going through a really hard time, and Charlie's being there for them. You can read these chapters if you want. These are really, really good chapters. However, it is a lot of reading. So if you are too busy for that, this will suffice just fine. All right, kiddos, that's all of your homework. I hope this helped.